Hey everyone, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday. We are one day away from the NFL draft, so we have to talk to a current player that's going to end up being drafted to the NFL, maybe the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to sit down with Gophers Terell Smith on today's Ron Johnson Show, but the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, I just didn't think it would go this way. I knew the Nuggets would win, but I didn't think they'd win in 5. I thought the Timberwolves had a chance, but I did tell you people, part of that parlay, I said, hey, if you want to put your money down, put your money on the Wolves to lose. I'm sorry, FanDuel. I'm sorry, Timberwolves fans. I told you. But we're going to talk about what this means for the Timberwolves and what to look forward to next season. Coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Oh, hey, good people. It's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show. And I just want to let you know, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Just make every moment more by visiting FanDuel.com/.com to get started today. Sorry, that's FanDuel.com/Locked On to get started today. And I'm looking at these parlays. I'm looking at these bets. The Lakers just dropped. They are now a +4. It's -4 for the Grizzlies. So, man, people are really feeling this 7-seed Lakers. And we're going to talk about this because the Timberwolves could have been there. But as I bring my producer into the show, Sam Ekstrom, we have a busy week, people. We are going to have a lot of draft talk the rest of this week, the round table on Friday for sure. We are going to talk about what the Minnesota Vikings do, and then are the Minnesota Wild almost done? Man, the negativity in Minnesota is at an all-time high when it comes to playoff football. The Vikings lost, we know, early. We know the Timberwolves now are done, and the Wild could be done. But we also have Terell Smith coming up on the Hang Around Johnson Show today. And then later next week, after the draft is over, I have a very long sit down. It's about 25 minutes-ish, but I have a good sit down I want to air for you guys with Santana Moss, former Washington football team wide receiver. He has a lot to say about Dan Snyder, that organization, and that $7 billion offer. But also there's a helicopter story that I was a part of that Santana kind of dispelled the phenomenon to me, and I'm glad he did it. So now I have a better understanding of Daniel Snyder. But tune in for that on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday next week. We're going to air it. But Sam, Timberwolves lost. We know that. Season's over. It's time to go lick your wounds. Time to go figure out if Rudy Gobert and karl-Anthony Towns are the answer for this team. I see so many duos, and it's because of injury. You look at Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, hurt. They're done. You look at Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. When Kevin Durant was out, Suns were so-so. When Kevin Durant got plugged in and they started clicking, I mean, you see 4-1. They destroyed the Clippers. I mean, Russell Westbrook had a decent, game. Tried to do all he could do without the two big stars for the Clippers. But it's injury. You look at Giannis, in the Bucks, injury. I mean, even the Miami Heat had injury. Like, they lost their big shooter, and Jimmy Butler just took over. I wish Jimmy Butler was a Timberwolf. I do. I wish because playoff Jimmy is a different beast. And I know Andrew Wiggins and Jimmy Butler didn't really get along because of Cat. I do feel like without Andrew Wiggins, though, maybe Cat takes to Jimmy Butler's coaching a little better, because we know Wiggins can be a little sensitive. He's a little quiet. He's to himself. Jimmy Butler's loud. He's going to talk. And that maybe is not Wiggins' thing, because you see Wiggins with the Warriors fits in, because those guys are a bunch of they just let Draymond talk and everybody else kind of does their thing. But I think Cat and Jimmy could have got along. I feel like they could have found a way to play. And playoff Jimmy is a different beast. Like, he just takes over games when he feels it. And I would have loved to see, and again, there's no way, I don't think this could have worked, because Jimmy Butler probably doesn't put the Timberwolves where they need to be to get Anthony Edwards, but I do feel like I would have loved to see Jimmy Butler with Anthony Edwards and karl-anthony Towns. Like, that's the three. Like, get rid of Wiggins, keep Cat, keep Jimmy Butler, bring in Anthony Edwards. I think those are the three I would like to see over Gobert, Edwards, and Cat, because you need, I mean, we go way back to the James Diaz interview. You need another scorer, and that's what they're missing. Whenever one of those guys is off, they don't have another guy to kind of take over. And it's over. The Nuggets were way better than I thought. Like, I did that poll on Twitter. That's 3 Ron Johnson at Twitter. I did the poll, and I said, who would you rather play? Everybody was saying they'd rather play Memphis. And I was like, I don't want to play Memphis. But clearly Memphis has some issues. Now, again, injury, but Ja's been playing. He had 45 with the hand. And when he was out, they won. So maybe I'm overthinking this Grizzlies thing. Maybe I overthought it. Maybe Ja Morant and his explosiveness scared me off, because Denver plays good basketball. They all can score, but Jokic spreads the floor. They have really good chemistry. The Memphis Grizzlies, they don't. They look like a bunch of like street ball players that are just like, get the ball to Ja, let Ja work. If Ja can't work, somebody else hurry, take a shot. Because it just, and the Lakers are playing team ball. So I really wish the Timberwolves could have found a way to get that play-in game together to play the 7th seed. Because vice versa, you flip it on the other side and you look at the East. The Heat lost their playing game, and we were all making fun of them. Like, oh, Jimmy Butler doesn't remember being a Timberwolf, but look, you can't even win your playing game. And you're the 7th seed. Like, they lost the 7th seed. They were the 7th seed, and they lost it. And then they're about to eliminate the Bucks, potentially. Like, they're on the precipice of eliminating the Bucks. And so, again, I look at all these teams that are closing their series out, the Suns, possibly the Heat. You saw Trey. I don't know if you saw Trey Young yesterday with the big shot. I watched that game at the end.
Kept him alive. Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge shot. Now, again, if he misses that shot, everybody's like, that's a dumb shot. Just like the Damian Lillard shot to end, I think, Paul George's season. It's the step back, really deep three, and everybody's like, oh, that's a dumb shot. But, hey, guys like that can make it. Trey made it, and now they get to get one more chance. They get to defend again. And it was an elimination game, and the stars showed up. And now, DeJounte Murray, DeJounte Murray, I think he'll be back because he was suspended for running into a ref. But when it comes to the Timberwolves, man, I just don't feel like I'm naming a bunch of stars that score. Anthony Edwards is the one for me for the Timberwolves. I don't feel like the Timberwolves have a second, like, dominant scorer. They have Cat, who's a star. They have Rudy Gobert, who's known in this league. But I wouldn't call him a star or scorer. Like, Rudy Gobert to me doesn't feel like a star scorer to me. He just feels like a name we all know because he's 7'3", which goes to the overrated. Like, is he overrated? Is this a piece they need to move on from and try to – but the problem is he's been exposed now as a Timberwolf. So you can't really get trade value for him. He's not Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know what you get for Rudy Gobert if you try it. So you might be stuck because you traded away your franchise and your future to get him. But I don't know, Sam. Season's over. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I was frustrated by a lot of things last night, most of them Rudy Gobert related. Anthony Edwards was so masterful all series run that doesn't it make you more upset that he disappeared in that Lakers game?
Yeah.
And
now we do know the shoulder though. There's a little bit of injury there, and that goes back to my point about injury. But yeah,
little bit of injury, which clearly didn't bother him though in this series.
True.
They just needed 50% of Ant in that game, and they played the Grizzlies. But I am frustrated by the conversation about you have to trade Cat. I know you get a good return on Cat, but like you said, Ron, they don't have scorers on this team. They traded D'Lo, and there were reasons to do that. Expiring contract, not great in the locker room. If you trade Cat, who is going to score other than Ant? I don't know who you're going to find that's going to be able to fill that void. But also, you see the talent of Cat. Like, it's so evident that he's a super talented yet kind of flawed player. But when Ant is your alpha, I think Cat actually fits in better as a number 2.
Correct.
And Ant is clearly becoming the alpha on this team.
Correct.
Rudy Gobert just plays you out of so many possessions. If you watch the second quarter last night, his brick hands were so poor in the post. He couldn't catch hard passes in the pick and roll. He couldn't get contested rebounds. And the only time he can score for you is on the lob. And that is There's value in what he brings, obviously, on the defensive side. But if you're asking me who I want to have back, I want Cat for sure. 100%, 10 times out of 10 versus Rudy, even though you're trading him for cents on the dollar. I just think you have to cut your losses, even though the return's not going to be great. If there's anyone who wants him, there might not be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I don't like, people are saying trade Cat. Some people are saying trade Gobert. Some people are saying run it back. I don't know if running it back is the answer, but I think that it's the only answer right now because of how many, like, I don't think anybody's willing to give you 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. I also don't, maybe somebody might give you 1 first-round pick because, again, it is a proven commodity for some teams that need a big. But those teams already have 2 scorers, so you're not going double big. You're going to go 2 scorers with a big. If you look at how the Suns are created, DeAndre Ayton, and then you have Devin Booker, you have Chris Paul running the show, and then you have an absolute scorer in Kevin Durant. Like, that's what teams want. You need 2 scorers and you need 1 big because that's what a lot of these teams are doing. You think about the Heat even. Bam is their big. Like, they went kind of small. You look at the Clippers. They didn't have a big. I mean, they did bring in Mason Plumlee, but he's shooting left-handed free throws. I don't know what's going on with his bid. But they had Mason Plumlee, but whenever you saw, like, the mismatch underneath, they were getting killed. And DeAndre Ayton was just playing like a big amongst little boys. That's where I think karl-Anthony Towns could take over for a lot of these West teams that play small ball when you have a bunch of scorers that can spread the floor out in the pick and roll. The problem with the pick and roll is when Cat wants to pick and roll or pick and pop, Gobert is there. Now, Gobert should be your pick and roll, pick and pop guy because Cat can shoot from outside. But like you said, Gobert's not athletic. He's not making that catch. Like, the best opportunity you have is to throw an alley-oop to him and hope he can get up there and get it. But I watched, like, some of the alley-oops Anthony Davis catches for the Lakers compared to Gobert. It's not even close. Like, Anthony Davis can turn a bad pass into like magical scoring. Like, oh man, he threw it. Oh, nope, he caught it. He laid it in or he dunked it. Gobert, if you throw it 1 inch too far, he's gonna stumble and fall and trip, and then he's gonna try to throw it back in and throw it to the other team and start a fast break. Like, he's borderline starting to act like JaVale McGee when JaVale McGee used to shack a fool. Like, JaVale McGee, if you ever want to laugh, people, just Google JaVale McGee shacking a fool or JaVale McGee funniest highlights. Like, I remember when I was introduced to JaVale McGee in Vegas and somebody showed me the video. I was on the ground crying tears. Like, I'm talking about, I think I was like in the ESPN or something, because I remember we were watching all the TVs in the game. We were watching like the Final Four, the Elite Eight, or I don't remember what we were down there for, but we were watching the games. It was in April though, so I don't know what that would have been because a friend of mine got married and I know his anniversary. But we were down there watching the games. It was like March maybe. And they were showing this. And so then they showed me this, like, man, have you seen JaVale McGee? And I said, this is like my boy's been married for like 8-9 years now. So this is way back when JaVale McGee first was really like shacking a fool. I was on the ground dying. And so if you watch Rudy Gobert now, like, I'm starting to see Instagram videos of people like, oh, here's Rudy Gobert highlights. Oh, pass to the crowd. Oh, throw it out of bounds. Oh, you hit a camera guy. And so I'm like, oh, he really does this. Like, he really makes these mistakes. Now, again, you can get a bunch of tape and 82 games and put together a funny highlight. But the problem is, if you were to look at Michael Jordan, maybe I'm wrong, I don't feel like you ever find that. I don't feel like you ever find that with Anthony Edwards, where there's a bunch of comedic opportunity of Anthony Edwards. Rudy Gobert just is awkward, and he's 6'3", and then they're making these low pocket passes. He can't bend down to get it because of his back, because he has the bad back. So you can see him kind of bending over like an old grandpa. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it. The league is about scoring, is about duos, and I don't feel like Gobert helps your case there. I think it had to be a CJ McCullough, it got to be a Jimmy Butler. Because again, bring Jimmy Butler back. Like, this is a whole new team. But again, Chris Finch could be the problem. Like, it could be the offense they're running. I don't know. But D'Angelo Russell, clearly, we see him balling. But again, he works well because he has a true dog in LeBron and Anthony Davis. So he probably feels. And again, I can tell he's a little slighted because they say, hey, man, some point guard. He's like, I'm not a point guard in this offense. I'm a basketball player. But no. I'm not a point guard in this offense. I'm a basketball player. And so I don't know if he's like taking a shot because LeBron brings the ball up and gets the offense going, or if he's being real, like, hey man, in this offense, Darvin Ham has us all playing like just playing basketball. We're basketball players. I'm not getting this offense started. Anybody can get this offense started. It all works together because I'm gonna knock down 3 threes when you need me, and I'm a ice cold this thing. You got the whole team doing it now too. But yeah, it's to me, it's just, and even with that, man, like, and you answer me this, Sam. When D'Angelo Russell was here, we know his thing was, ice in the veins. Were there any other Timberwolves ever doing that with him? Like, did they take to that as a team with D'Angelo Russell? Or was that mainly just D'Lo?
Just the celebration, you mean?
Correct. Just the celebration.
Yeah.
Like
I don't,
they would
that's
shoot
a good
threes.
question.
Because I feel like, and maybe it's LeBron because it's all over TV, but Austin Reeves does it now. LeBron does it. Like, it's almost like they welcome D'Angelo Russell in as a brother, and they're like, man, let's have fun with this guy. Like, I don't see it with the Wolves. You know what I mean? Like, it was no, and again, clearly there was drama. Guys punching walls, guys punching each other.
Chemistry was bad this year.
Yeah, like it's just like the Lakers have chemistry, and that's what it takes to win. But Sam, we got to move on. We got a great interview coming up with Terell Smith in the Hanging Ron Johnson segment, and he has a lot to say about PJ Fleck. And again, this is a kid that started as a freshman, didn't play as much for like a year or two, and then came back the last year or two and is a dominant force and headed to the NFL. A lot of kids in this position would have transferred. They would hit that portal because they'd be like, I was a starter. Now you're going to bench me because you bought in a guy in Benjamin St. Juste from the University of Michigan, grad senior. But he's like, look, he's going to be here for 1 year. And he did something pivotal that I think more players need to do. And we'll have that next coming up on the Ron Johnson Show. But I want you to remember, Amazon Fire and Roku, people. Locked On Sports Minnesota has an app now. Locked On Sports Minnesota on Amazon Fire and Roku. Just download it. You can get all of our videos, all of our shows. And we have a word from our sponsors.
We are presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the official sportsbook partner of Locked On. FanDuel.com/Locked On to get started and claim your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. NBA playoffs in full swing, NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball, and NFL draft props to wager on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday's proceedings. Check it all out at the safe and secure FanDuel Sportsbook app, which is so easy to use. Stack up your bets within the same game for a same game parlay, chance at big payouts, or even add in a different game to that for a same game parlay plus. FanDuel.com/Locked On to get started. FanDuel.com/Locked On. No sweat first bet up to $1,000 back in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
Well, now it's time for the Hanging with Ron Johnson segment. This is a fun one for me. I got Terell Smith. They call him Tea Time. Former Gophers cornerback heading into the NFL draft. And I remember this time myself. So I love to sit down with Terell and talk to him. So I reached out and said, hey, let's get you on before the draft. I mean, you're going to get picked by somebody. This is a kid that ran well at the combine, represented the University of Minnesota well. And so I want to thank Terell Smith for joining me on the Ron Johnson Show. Tea time, man. Appreciate you joining me. First, jump out there, man. Like you've had an up and down college career. Like a freshman year, you killed it. Everybody's like excited. And then, injuries and just time off the field. And then, Benjamin St. Juste comes in, Antoine Winfield blows up. And then you show back up on the scene a year, 2 years, a year later, but then the year before that as well. It's just a solid starting cornerback again. Walk me through that, man, because I know PJ Fleck talks about growth. He talks about failure. He talks about all that. Like, what was that time like for you going from, the best cornerback, everybody was so excited about you, then people were questioning, and then back to excitement? How was that ride for you?
Just like going in and just talking to Coach Fleck and just asking him about things I need to work on, like my sophomore year when I wasn't playing that much, when Benjamin St. Juste came in, and just talking with Coach Fleck, figuring out what I needed to work on and try to help with my inconsistent play. So he just gave me some things I needed to work on, and I was able to fix that.
Yeah, man, that's a huge character moment for you because Deion Sanders just had 15 to 17 guys enter the transfer portal.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and a guy of your caliber, a starter as a freshman, and then all of a sudden transfer comes in. Like you said, inconsistent play, maybe some mental errors here and there, not taking to certain formations, making little small mistakes that we saw you as a senior not have these issues. But you could have easily said, man, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go play for Illinois. I'm gonna go play for Purdue. I'm gonna go back to Miami and go to UCF or something. But you didn't. You stayed at the University of Minnesota. Why did you do that? Because I know doubt sometimes creeps in, man. But what helped you stay, bought into the program?
I'll just say, like, the way Coach Fleck just runs the program, it's a life program. It was just like, it's just like somewhere I want to be. And then, like, all my brothers, like, we all got recruited to go there. And we had a brotherhood, and it was just like, I never really thought about, like, leaving because, like, I was with them, and I just felt like the program was, like, good for me. So I wanted to stay.
Yeah, and like I said, that's huge, man. I'm proud of you for doing that because I know that time couldn't have been easy, but what you learned, and this is what I want to give you advice or give you some, whatever, taking it to the rest of your career. Remember that moment because you were able to persevere where a lot of guys would have folded. A lot of guys would have questioned themselves, questioned the coaching, made it about everything besides themselves. And I hear you say, I looked at what I was doing. Coach, how can I get back on the field? How can I get better? What can I do? And so self-reflection is huge. And, and I noticed too, and I don't know if you noticed this, but you hit the weight room around that time too. Like you came out after that looking a lot bigger, a lot stronger, almost too swole to a point. But, this year you kind of lean back out, you look good. And the comment Jordan Reed from ESPN said, he said he saw you as a guy that competed at the Shrine Game, a guy that took adversity and stepped up and wanted to make a play after the next play, wanted to celebrate the play that was made, which is big as far as a cornerback, having that cockiness, having that, bravado. When you think about your time at the Shrine Game, what did you get the most out of it?
I'll just say it was like a really good opportunity for me to just showcase myself like across the whole country and show like all scouts that's like not area scouts, like what I could do and just get my name out there more, like being able to meet all type of scouts from every team. I feel like that was just a big opportunity for me just because I got to put my name out there more.
And when you look at Benjamin St. Juste, you play with him, you see him in the NFL, I'm pretty sure all you guys watched him play against Justin Jefferson. And when you watch that game and you see his talent level, where do you see yourself playing in the NFL, or how do you see yourself transitioning to the NFL when you see a guy like that? You're like, man, I played with this guy. I know what he can do, so I know what I can do. What did you see there?
I've been talking to Ben like a lot throughout this whole process. Like he's just been giving me insight on everything, like interview process and things like that. But I feel like when it comes to me going to like the next level, I feel like I'm just as capable as doing everything that he's been doing. I feel like it would be a smooth transition for me, and I'm just ready to go to rookie mini camp and show everybody what I could do.
And what teams, like, because I've been through this draft process. I mean, I'm way older than you. Crap, almost 2023 now. So I was, oh man, that was 2002. So almost 21 years. No, not almost 21 years ago. So probably your age. 21 years ago, I was drafted to the Baltimore Ravens. Shout out to the Baltimore Ravens. Appreciate you for everything you did. But I remember this process, man. I remember talking to the New York Giants. I remember talking to the Miami Dolphins. I remember, talking. And the funny thing was my conversation with the Ravens was short. Like I did talk to them. We did sit down. We did go over like, hey, if you have press coverage, what kind of route are you going to run here? If you have two high safeties, and they just wanted to kind of pick my brain on what I could do. But what teams have you talked to that have given you the most like, oh, okay, I think this is where I'm going to end up?
I feel like I had really good meetings with the Colts, the Jaguars, the 49ers. I just had a meeting with the Chiefs. I feel like those teams, I feel like the position coaches were showing like heavy interest in me. So I feel like I'll just say those 4 teams. Okay.
And then, I mean, you're in Minnesota, play for the Gophers. And the Minnesota Vikings are short on cornerbacks. When you think about that, what is that thought process for you? Like, man, you might end up driving right down the road, not having to go far to be a Minnesota Viking. But even that thought process of seeing them get rid of Patrick Peterson, they cut Cam Dantzler, they let Duke Shelley go, they let Chris Boyd go. So they definitely are a team that everybody's saying has to either pick up 3 or 4 cornerbacks, or at least draft 1 or 2, or draft 1, pick up 2. When you hear the stuff like, because first round was kind of the thought, Joey Porter Jr., but then they still have a 3rd round pick. They're probably going to trade maybe and get a 2nd round and a 4th round pick. What would that be like if you heard your name called by the Minnesota Vikings?
That would be a cool moment for me and my family, and then like my girlfriend and everything. She stay up here, so like just going down the street would be a really easy transition. I had went up to the Vikings for a top 30 visit, and I really enjoyed it. I got to meet all the coaches and things like that, so that was a good thing.
So it's a chance. I mean, they brought you in for the top 30 visit, so you're on their board. So we do know that. So, you know, I would like it. I mean, because covering the Vikings, I do Vikings Game Day live on Fox. So, hey, that makes it easy for me to talk about you every Sunday. So I'm hoping that happens. But, you know, looking at Gopher spring ball just happened. Let's talk a little bit about college. Gopher spring ball just happened. And now you're a quote unquote, you, Mo, Jordan Houghton, you guys are alumni now. But when you look at, you know, the spring game and Tyler Nubin, because you play with him. What is Tyler Nubin going to be to the NFL next year? Because clearly, I mean, with his talent, his size, his ability, he is a guy that can play on Sundays. Antoine Winfield Jr. as well. But when you see a guy like Tyler Nubin, man, what do you see in him that makes him so good?
He just a dog. Like he gonna get it done. He gonna work hard every single day. He gonna practice harder than anybody. He gonna push himself. A lot of like meeting with a lot of teams and stuff. They always asked about Tyler too, because he's just a player that they're already looking at for next year. So I just feel like Tyler's just gonna get it done. He just a grinder.
Yeah, no, he's a solid kid. I mean, he plays well. He's going to be on the Ron Johnson show at some point this spring, because I told him, you know, he reached out to me. I said, yeah, for sure, I got to get you on, because, I mean, that's my guy. We had him on the PJ Flex show, so definitely enjoy being around him. But when you look at, and you brought this up, when you look at the opportunities in the NFL, and you talked about that, you talked about the teams asking you questions, and the teams, you know, what are something you're telling teams you can bring to their team, because they are asking you those questions.
I'm a physical press man corner. I feel like I do really a good job in that. And then just telling them that I could lock it down on the outside, man to man. I could come in the run game. I'm not scared to tackle, put my face on somebody. So I just tell them, I just talk about my physicality and how I could do it in the pass game and the run game.
And the one thing I'll tell you too, special teams. The more you can do for a team, the longer you can play special teams. Don't, especially as a corner. Because most teams are going to go into camp with about 12 cornerbacks. The ones that do well at gunner, the ones that do well at press, you know, pressing the gunner, those are the guys blocking punts, you know, being on punt block, being on kickoff return, kickoff. Those are the guys that they definitely are like, okay, this is our fourth corner. This is our third corner. This is our fifth corner, because he gives us the most, you know, as far as special teams, because they only can have, like, there's in college got 100 guys on the sideline. Pros, you got 50. So it's a big, you know, when you cut that number in half, you don't have a, you know, special forces team. You know, it's your guys, you know, your third, fourth receivers on special teams, your fourth, fifth DB. Sometimes the starting DB has to play a little bit of gunner or maybe play a little bit of hold up. So, you know, I'd tell you that, man, special teams, get that in your mind now. Like when you go in, every special teams meeting, be in the front, every chance you can talk to the special teams coach, do it, because the guys they talk to the most are the guys that are going to write that name down when it's time to make that roster. Because I was a coach for the Colts, and that was the one thing I remember. Special teams guys that came up to us, and we had them and meet, like, those are the guys like, oh yeah, this is number, you know, 42. Here's 43. Here's 44 on that roster. Because when you got to get to that 49, that 53, but then you got to have that 49 ready to play. Special teams is it. Looking at PJ Fleck, man, let's talk a little bit about PJ Fleck. He's a polarizing figure. You know, he's a guy that he commands a room when he walks in. He's going to have a saying for everything. You know, I've had a lot of time with PJ Fleck over the last couple of years, doing the PJ Fleck show every week. You know, so we've had a lot of fun talking. I mean, he's been a great guy. You know, I think I spoke to you. I don't know if you were on the team at the time, but I think homecoming or one of the games, I spoke to you guys at the hotel for the captain's breakfast. But when you look at PJ Fleck, man, what has he taught you? Not just in football, but in the game of life?
Just being like resilient, always like not blaming others, just self-reflecting, like we were talking about earlier. Just being you. Like he always says, like when you're in this program, you don't got to be anybody but yourself. Like he's a guy that's full of energy, and he's like that every single day. But like you don't have to be like that to be in his program. He just wants you to just be yourself and just be the best version of yourself.
And for me, man, like I know looking at that, competing, being the best version of yourself, but looking at other versions of yourself. For me, when I was playing, it was Keyshawn Johnson, Rod Smith, guys like that I could look at their body type and say, you know what? Like, I'm not a Terrell Owens. He's a little faster than me, but I could be a Keyshawn. Who's a guy that you look at in the NFL that you whether it's old, current, whatever, that you're like, man, I can model my game after this guy?
I like watching Patrick Peterson,
okay,
Stephon Gilmore, and Jalen Ramsey. Those are my three. I've been watching Patrick Peterson since I've been in high school. Like before, high school games, I used to watch all his highlights and stuff like that. So I feel like just them three is people I like to look at the most.
And I was gonna say, you guys have gone to some Vikings games because I know PJ does all that stuff, the Kendrick Lamar concerts or whatever. Had you had a chance though, being over at the Vikings games or whatever, to meet Patrick Peterson?
No, I haven't. I just study his game from when we went to the Colts game, just looking at him when they were on defense, and then looking at Stephon Gilmore when they were on defense. I was just seeing how they move and mirror receivers and things like that.
Wait, so you guys, were you at the game, the greatest comeback ever?
Yeah.
Did you guys stay for the whole game?
No, we didn't.
Oh, when'd you leave? When'd y'all leave?
We left after the first drive in the second half.
So when y'all left, did y'all think it was over? Is that the assumption?
Yeah, they were saying it. Yeah, they were saying it was over.
So how'd you feel? How'd you guys feel? Kind of seeing it happen on Twitter?
I was telling them, I was saying, let's stay. Let's just finish the game. It might come back. Everyone's like, nah, it's over. So we left, and then when we got back to the facility, we watching the games on our phone, and we oh, they coming back. And then we damn, we should have stayed.
So who made that decision to leave? Was that the coaches, or who was that?
I guess it was they just caught the vibe of everybody that was there, just watching it. And,
okay.
It was 36-0. So they're
right.
All right, let's leave.
Yeah, see, and it's my job, so I can't leave. So I had to be there for that because I do the Vikings fan line, and so my post game, I have to work, so I have to be there. Yeah. And so so I was able to be a part of the. I mean, I've been a part of the Minneapolis Miracle. I did the fan line after that, post game, pregame. I was, the Giants come back, and then of course the Colts, which is the greatest one I've ever seen in my life. It was ridiculous. But man, that sucks. So you guys now you'll be able to tell your kids that story though. You that's if anything you ever learn. Tell your kids that I could have been at the greatest game ever, but the vibe from everybody else around me was negative. Let's go. And I told them we shouldn't have left. So see, there you go. You were, because I was always wondering, because I know people left, because even my co-host on the fan line, Corey Cove, he joked about it, that if it wasn't for, I think it was his kids. If it wasn't for his kids, he would have left. Because there's always this big joke about him on the power trip for K-Fan, and he doesn't like doing late games, but he would have left, but he said he had his kids with him, so they wanted to stay, so he just stayed. And then by the third quarter, they started coming back. And y'all left early. But but when you look at all that stuff y'all get to do, man, like I said, you guys get to do some cool stuff. What's some highlights, man, from some of the off the field activities PJ's had you guys do?
During fall camp, when we go to we'll go to, I don't remember the name, but we'll go bowling, laser tags. We'll go to a water park.
Okay.
Just like the stuff during fall camp, because I would just say that's when we grinding the hardest. So just being able to go out with your teammates and just build a bigger bond and have more chemistry, I feel like that's huge. And during camp, and usually every camp we go to a Twins game and watch the baseball games and stuff too.
Yep.
So I feel all of that's cool.
And so if you had to play another position, because the coaches are going to ask you this, the more you can do, were you ever a receiver, a quarterback, or running back? What else could you do if they needed an emergency? Because we saw the 49ers, all four of their quarterbacks got hurt. What else could you do if a coach asks you?
I played receiver in high school.
Okay.
I guess if that counts.
Can you hoop though? Because this is the thing. This is my, and before you answer, this is my thought. In a locker room, and you're in the locker room, so you know this. In a locker room, there's a hierarchy of hoopers in a football locker room. I gotta say the tight ends and the receivers usually are at the top. Maybe some athletic quarterbacks can get up there, but it's usually tight ends, receivers. Then you got quarterbacks. Then you probably, then it's a toss up after that. Probably offensive linemen, maybe defensive ends. Usually get some hoopers in there, offensive tackles, defensive ends. Usually your guards or centers are towards the bottom with your running backs. They're usually pretty garbage. And then DBs are an anomaly. Anomaly. Oh man, I can't even say the word. Anomaly.
Yeah.
But DBs are usually different because your safeties, you might have some athletic safeties that can hoop. Like Darius Butler, play for the Colts, play corner. I always joke with him because he can actually hoop for a DB. But I've played with guys like Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes. They are trash. Stephon Diggs, I hoop with him at Lifetime. He can hoop.
Yeah.
Where would you put yourself on that hooping like echelon? Because I know y'all shoot around every once in a while and play horse or whatever. PJ, I've heard PJ does the hooping at his house. So you can't hoop at all.
I can't hoop.
See?
I can play defense.
Exactly. See, for all my everydayers out there that know I love some good football, basketball talk, because every time I get a player on here, like Adam Thielen. I had Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was able to pick his 5 best players on the team. I said, JJ, give me, if you had to pick 5 to go on the field or go on the court, and he picked them. Adam Thielen wasn't even picked. Like, he didn't even pick Adam Thielen. So that's why I love that conversation, because they know none of his picks was DBs or running backs. And so, it is what it is. My pops was a safety. Hoop, my pops, that's the Steelers helmet back there. My pops was a safety for the Steelers, won a couple. He couldn't hoop. Like, he was strong, and like you said, he could play defense, but he couldn't hoop. So I'm glad you are able to admit that as a DB, that's not your strong suit to be hooping. Yeah. But T-Top, 2 more before we get out of here, man. I appreciate you for joining me on the Ron Johnson Show. I'm Ron Johnson. That's Terell Smith, Gophers cornerback, for those listening on the podcast, for those watching on on YouTube, or watching on Amazon Fire or Roku. Again, I'm Ron Johnson. That's Terell Smith. 2 more before we get out of here, man. When you think about the legacy, because I know that's another thing PJ Fleck talks about, the legacy you want to live or how you want to be remembered. What do you want people in Minnesota to remember you by?
Just somebody that's gonna persevere, and like when times get hard, you're just gonna keep pushing through it and be able to come out a better person on the back half of it.
And then last one, the draft is all about the gear. Like, I know you got family, you'll be around probably, but when you take that picture or the videos posted, like, are you gonna be suited, or are you kind of gonna keep it casual? Like, what's your draft day? And what's your draft day? Like, what are you doing? Are you hanging out with family? Are you doing like a dinner, or just gonna be at the house, or what's your plans for the draft day?
So my friends and family are flying up here like Thursday and Friday, and then we just gonna be at the house just watching it, waiting for my name to be called. Okay, so you're doing it in Minnesota? Yeah. Okay. All right, man. Well, no, I hope we'll definitely have to get you back on after the draft, depending on whatever team you go to. Hopefully it's the Minnesota Vikings. I want to thank you for joining me on the Ron Johnson Show, man. Good luck. I'm going to be praying for you. I'm going to be with you. If you ever, like I said, I tell all the players this, man. Chris Aubin-Bell still reaches out to me. Tyler Johnson, Rashad Bateman. If you ever need anything, man, never hesitate to ask, because my reach is long. And if I don't know the answer, I know somebody that does, man. But I appreciate everything you've done for University of Minnesota. And I'm looking forward to what you do in the NFL, man. Have a good one. Thank you. Well, that was an awesome interview with Terell Smith. I got to bring Sam Extra back in, my producer. Sam, before we get out of here, man, like, he said some really cool things about PJ Fleck. The one that I liked the most was he took accountability. And in today's sports world, look at Colorado. Players just hitting the portal. And again, that's a different situation. Deion already said, I'm bringing my luggage with me in this Louis. So a lot of those guys are like, man, I don't even know what the fall is going to look like now. So they took off. But when you look at Terell Smith, he could have transferred. If you start as a freshman in the Big Ten, teams are going to want you. Like, if you hit the portal, you're going to get some looks. And he stuck around with the program. Like, he played his role, and he said he went to Fleck and said, hey, what am I doing? Like, how do I get better? How do I improve? He didn't just hit the portal. He stayed, and look, it's paying off for him, because the grass isn't always greener. We see all these guys transfer sometimes, and then we never hear from them again. They just hit the portal. Like, there's one kid, I think, at Georgia now, or I forgot where he's going. He's like, I saw one of the guys from Georgia, an alum, say this is going to be his 6th school in 6 years or something, or 5th school in 6 years. Like, that's crazy. Like, you're never going to, like, because you're not going to go in some places and just start. So maybe go in, build the chemistry, learn, and work. And Terell Smith worked. And that's why I love it, because PJ Fleck's not for everybody. The program's not for everybody. Rowing the boat's not for everybody. But Terell Smith, he said, man, me and my guys, we came in, we had an agreement. We were together, and we were going to stay together. And he's part of that. And now he's getting a chance to go to the NFL. But I really like that. Also, I like the fact that he said, Patrick Peterson, guy in his backyard,
So he said he watched Patrick Peterson way back since he was young. So clearly that was Arizona Cardinals. It just happened that they ended up in the same state. So it'd be cool if he did get a chance to go to the Gophers. We don't know, though, because we don't know what's going to happen with that 4th or that 5th, if they're going to get another pick in the 4th, if they're going to have a 6th-round pick maybe, and he's still on the board. Do they take Terell Smith 4-4-3? That's solid. Compete, like you said, willing to tackle. But I really like that accountability piece. I don't know, Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like I don't have evidence for this. I feel like the Gophers have lost fewer players to the portal than other teams. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I'd say so, but, especially stars.
Yeah. And they certainly don't lose big. They're starting caliber players. They stick around. And Terell Smith is just the continuation of sort of this defensive back university that the Gophers have going on. Going back to the Jerry Kill, Tracy Clays, like they were developing defensive backs that made the NFL, and now that's continued here with PJ. And I think that's really cool. And the Vikings, they took a Caleb Evans in the 4th round last year. Maybe this is right in that kind of area where Terell Smith might be available. Jordan Reed loved him. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that he's going to have success at the next level. I can't wait to see where he goes.
Yeah, I think so. I think like Jordan Reed said at the Shrine game, you saw his confidence every time he made a play. He let you know about it. I think that is key. Like, we saw that in Duke Shelley. Duke Shelley was a quiet guy that nobody knew. And then as he started making plays, he started making noise. And now you see him, you see it more and more. And maybe that's because, he could have been that guy all the time and we just never noticed him. But, it's all about confidence. Like the more confidence, like Deion Sanders, he exudes confidence. Allen Iverson, I was watching just an interview with Allen Iverson, and he said, because it was back when this is the whole practice, like it was that whole saga. And Allen Iverson's quote I love was like, you could put me anywhere. You can trade me. Because people were asking, like, do you not want to be here? Remember, he wasn't practicing. He was injured. People didn't know that. Playing hurt and didn't want to tell people, which is smart. Because I'm like, I don't want to tell you. Like, Ja Morant, people knowing he's hurt, the Lakers are going to force him to try to do stuff with the hurt hand. Like, it just goes without saying. So Allen Iverson's quote was, put me anywhere. I'm going to win. You can trade me. You can cut me. You can do whatever you want. But whatever team I go, he said, I can go to any team and I'm going to win. I'm going to make my guys better. And I think that's what people forget. LeBron James wins. He makes his team better. Kobe Bryant won, made his team better. Michael Jordan won, made his teammates better. Like, that's what you want. And I think, that's what confidence comes with. And for cornerbacks, that's what it is. When you're confident, you're gonna bring confidence to the rest of the team. Like if I know I got a confident DB back there and he's balling and he's feeling it and he's telling us, like, I'm gonna play harder. I'm gonna know, okay, I got this. So yeah, and again, I think the special teams piece for him, he's willing to tackle, like you say, he's willing to put his face in there. That's gonna be the key too. When you're a 4th, 5th round pick, you're gonna be a special teams guy, but you want to be that first guy. But yeah, the Gophers, man, Jordan Houghton, Terell Smith. It'll be interesting to see in the draft coming up. John Michael Schmidt. I mean, it's tomorrow. The draft is upon us, people. It's here tomorrow. I can't wait. I'm excited. I don't know what suit I'm gonna wear yet for the draft show. I still haven't picked that out, but I know like Terell Smith said, he's gonna be casual. I don't do casual. I'm not gonna do a 3-piece though. I don't think I'm gonna go that far, but I can't do casual. I don't know if I'm gonna do no tie or not. I haven't decided, but I'll let the suit come to me. I wake up in the morning, I go look in the closet, I go work out, jump on the inspiration, jump on the football party, and then it's like 3:00 rolls around, and I kind of, what am I feeling like today? Am I all black? Am I Keanu Reeves? Am I feeling like John Wick? I don't know, but we'll see. I'm excited about it, Sam. But again, we got a packed roundtable because Roundtable Friday, we're going to talk about our top 5 football movies. And we know Sam doesn't watch a lot, so he probably only has 2. But we have our top 5.
I don't know if I can get a top 5 list together. We'll see. I'm going to have to stretch.
Oh, man. But we want to see what you guys think of our top 5 list on Friday, so tune in for that. And then, of course, next week, we're going to have some great guests. I got Matt Spaeth in the hopper. I got Santana Moss. We got Cedric Thompson Jr., former Gopher, Miami Dolphin. So we got a lot coming your way, so stay tuned for that. But I'm Ron Johnson, Locked On Sports Minnesota. That's Sam Ekstrom. And remember, you can download all of our shows on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, have an email address, subscribe, create a YouTube account, and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube. It's free. Also, iHeartMedia, iTunes, wherever you get Spotify, wherever you get your your podcast, just subscribe. Hit that follow button, It'll upload our shows every time they load up. I did it on the iHeartMedia app. It's free. I just went in there. I searched Locked On Sports Minnesota. I hit follow. So now it pops up every time I'm on there. But Spotify, iTunes, whichever one you do, make sure you follow and subscribe to the Ron Johnson Show. Locked On Sports Minnesota is the way to go. I want to thank you guys and have a great day.